While many weddings have sadly been postponed or cancelled recently, engagements are actually on the rise, according to a wedding planning app. But in these socially distanced times, you have to wonder how many of these proposals were preceded by the scariest meeting in any man's life, asking a dad for his daughter's hand in marriage. Or is that one wedding tradition that is just totally outdated? I'm just going to glance to my left here, and I think
feel like I'm
what your thoughts are.
Ask for a hand in marriage. I mean, where are we? I don't understand anything. I mean, not that I would judge anyone that would want to do that, but I would find it such a turn-off if my fellow went to my dad and asked him.
Would you?
For
Why?
my hand in marriage. Ask me. Don't go and ask somebody. I mean, I don't know whether this is just because it's in my genetics.
Oh, she's
in my
angry.
It's in my roots,
Yeah,
because I come from
down,
a background where women's marriages were discussed without them being in the room. You know what I mean? My dad tells the amazing story of when he was growing up and he was very, very close to his younger sister, and the absolute highlight of their time, you know, growing up in the Middle East, was the weddings where they would dance and they would sing, and, you know, he's at this wedding one day and he was looking for his sister. She was probably 13, 14, and she was one of the bride. She was the bride. You know, so my dad had this thing, I want to move to another land, that's what he said, and I want to just have daughters that do exactly what they want to do. I want them to have the free will and to be whoever they want. And so maybe because I've always heard that...
It's definitely a reason
I've
why.
always heard that from a child, you know, so
but
just...
moving it away from 13-year-old brides.
No, but I can't, because that's where it comes from. I mean, even when somebody, you know, like, I mean, hopefully we're all feminists, you know, we make our own choices, we follow our own dreams, and yet to still sit around and go, oh, well, I hope he asks me to marry him. What? You both decide together.
Nadia, I get what you're saying, and obviously with that cultural experience, I 100% support you. I am very glad that I'm in Glasgow and 500 miles away, because all of this is making me just a little bit nervous.
Hey, you have no idea. You have no idea.
But, you know, and you know me, I'm not married, for goodness sake, so I'm not a traditionalist from that point of view, but because I've got a different cultural experience to you, it wouldn't offend me in the same way, you know, because, you know, I had a different relationship with my dad. I've got a different experience going back. And I suppose, not that asking for the hand, but a sort of respect and sort of speaking to the family, and I just wouldn't have the same reaction.
As a mum of daughters, Kaye, would, even though you and Ian aren't married, do you think it's something that Ian will expect when your girls get married? Do you think he will be upset if somebody doesn't come to him and at least...
Well, I mean, I had never thought
not
about it
necessarily
before, but
ask him, but I just wondered what Ian would say.
Well, I wondered what Ian would say as well, because it's not a conversation that we've ever had. So we did ask him, and I said, well, just, you know, go and answer it on video and let's see it. So I think we've got a clip, haven't we?
I wouldn't expect any young guy to be asking permission to marry Charlie or Bonnie. But on the other hand, I would hope that Charlie or Bonnie would want to know if I thought it was a good idea.
Oh, that's a different take on it.
That's a good way round. Well, that's never going to happen. Can you imagine asking your dad if you think it's a good idea? Did any of us ever do? Can I just challenge Kaye just really quickly, though? Kaye, you wouldn't let... I mean, you are a modern woman. You are a feminist. You would want to change a tie yourself. You wouldn't want anyone to do it. You make your own choices. I find that such a contradiction that you would, because it is. I mean, you didn't even say if they came and asked my mum and dad. You still said your dad. You know, it comes from a patriarchal society that demands this stuff.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. I mean, I suppose I am kind of contradicting myself. But for instance, I'm not married. If I was to get married and my dad were alive, I would have been very proud if he had walked me down the aisle and I suppose technically given me away, because I don't have any negative connotations to those traditions.
Are you going to get married,
positive. Kaye? You're kidding. After all this time, Denise.
Of
But can I just say again, it's not just a cultural thing. The negative connotations are there, whatever country you come from, whatever culture, because it goes way back when women were just passed over out of families
and given. Get that.
But do you not think that asking someone for the hand in marriage is not it's not really asking. It's like a courtesy. I mean, I was 97 when I married Lincoln in July 2013, but I still was quite happy when he said, "I want to go and talk to your dad about it."
I can't believe you're all so soppy. I'm usually the soppy one.
But don't
What's
you
going
think
on
that we're
here?
sort of still, so I quite like. I feel I'm being a complete hypocrite. Hands up, I'm being a complete whoopee. I'm being a complete hypocrite about the whole thing because I consider myself a feminist and all of those things. But at the same time, I still like that Lincoln went and discussed it with my dad because he knew there was some reservations. It was all a bit of an odd time, and I think that I still like the bit where they say, who takes this, and you sort of get handed over a bit because I think we're daddy's little girls a little bit.
But this is a massive...
But Nadia, can I quickly ask you, obviously you feel very strongly in the way you do, for very good reason, and I understand. But what would Mark feel if a prospective beau of your lovely daughters didn't ask him? You asked him as well, same way that Kaye did. Did she ask...
I'm terribly worried he's going to say something extremely old-fashioned.
OK, I just had to go for a run because I've just been asked the question, what would I say if one of my daughter's boyfriends came and asked for their hand in marriage, And I would have to say that there's two caveats. If I hated them, I'd say, come downstairs and take this lie detector test, and I'd ask a series of really deep and twisted questions about his intentions and his loyalties. If it was a kid I liked, a boy I liked, I'd do exactly the same, but I'd probably do the test for about 10 minutes less, and then pat him on the back and say, oh, come on then, brilliant.
There you go. What do you think?
I didn't quite hear it because somebody was talking.
He still wants an input into it.
He
He wants input into
And
it.
he wants them to take a lie
Old-fashioned.
detector test. Do you know, I think traditions are beautiful, but I also think you can make your own. Because the last wedding I had, because, I've had a few, my son walked me down the aisle because it was a joining of two families. So just make your own traditions.